Okay, we're back. Go.
So, hi everyone, welcome to Golden Talkies. Second try.
Second try. Fourth try.
Accidentally
Jamie
revealed.
said his real name. He doxed himself.
Yeah, it was horrible.
Well, his real name is
Uh,
Jamie, but he said his full name.
yeah.
This episode could be a bit messy. Jamie's laptop is in the shop, as they say.
Mhm. Yep.
So I'm recording his Discord call onto OBS. Normally we both record onto Audacity and then I edit the files together. But this time it's all in one file. So this could be, hopefully the volume's okay, because I really can't be bothered going in and like every single time one of us talks, put the volume up and down, you know.
Mhm.
But it's fine, probably.
Yeah, I'm a very monotone, consistent speaker generally.
Definitely,
I feel.
definitely. So what is this? Let's remember to do that.
This is the Golden Talkies. Every week we review a film that came out exactly 50 years ago that week.
Yep.
This week's film is The Clowns, or E-Clowns, if you're Italian, by Federico Fellini, which was originally released as a TV special, but was also released in cinemas simultaneously, so it counts as a movie as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. And the release date we're going by is came out in the Venice Film Festival on the 30th of August.
Yes.
And then
everyone knows that film festival release dates are what everyone counts as initial release dates. No one has ever not done that.
Exactly.
Shut up.
Exactly. And it came out on Christmas 1970 as well.
Yes.
On TV. So we're recording this episode quite soon after the last one, aren't we?
Yes. Duncan insisted.
Yeah, I did.
But, you know.
You're not wrong.
I play to his whims.
No, it's a busy week, and the last one was pretty rushed and pretty late night. This time we're back in an afternoon recording, so
yes, the way it should be.
Hopefully it's a lot better. This film, this is, oh no, historical context.
Yeah,
of course. Let me do it. Okay. Can you guess what the number one song in the US is, Jamie?
The US. Something by the Jackson 5 / Elvis again for some reason.
War.
Or the Beatles.
Who? Good God, now. What is it good for? That song.
Absolutely nothing. Yeah,
that's number one.
Can't imagine what war that could possibly be sung about.
World War II, I guess, based on the films we've watched. It's a good song.
World War II with weird subtext in it.
That was one of the songs I had on iTunes back in the day. Obviously nowadays you can listen to any song you want, whenever you want, however you want. But back in the day I had my iPod and I had however many 100 songs on it, and it was just those ones over and over again. So that's one of the songs that was on
I really feel that was like the best possible point for music as a consumer. Or at least like as a balance between consumer and artist, because obviously like Spotify and YouTube and stuff, no one earns anything from it.
Well, that is true, but
with a traditional classic iPod, you own your stuff, you got a big collection of it, everyone's getting paid at the end of the day, but you also have your stuff all in a very convenient place.
Though.
That's true, but I feel music. The thing is, like, there's this weird sort of dichotomy where like a very major artist can make more than enough money, I feel, from like live touring,
Yeah.
But at the same time, like a very indie label, I feel deserves to be able to charge quite a lot for their music. Like if you have only 100 fans, but like they're very into your niche, then like if you're getting like 1 cent per play, then that's not going to do anything for you. Whereas if they would be willing to pay £7 for an album in another world, then like you deserve that 700 quid.
Yeah, but I think you can still buy albums. I think.
Oh yeah, I mean it's still possible. It's just that.
I mean, you could always listen to it on YouTube and stuff. I think it's better that they're making money now, that it's a bit more formal, in terms of streaming and stuff. I mean, before half the music videos that you'd listen to or watch on YouTube were not the artist uploading it. It was just someone uploading it, and I feel like that's got a lot better.
Well, I do sometimes wonder because, like, obviously, piracy was a much more major problem for Spotify, and I guess now, to a lesser extent, YouTube Music came along, and Apple Music and Tidal.
Yeah.
But I do kind of wonder how the cost values actually ended up working out in the end, because I have a sneaking suspicion that actually the amount of money lost by switching from like buying songs to streaming was actually more than like was lost from piracy,
Yeah, no,
as
it's
it
a good
were.
point. It is a good point, but certainly from a consumer point of view, I just think, especially with how available the internet is everywhere nowadays, like it's nice to own songs, but I mean, I've got a record player, so if I want to own a song, I'll buy the record
Yeah,
and I like kind of have
I
it,
suppose actually like
and
the
it's that thing. But
revival.
having it on the iPod was always a bit like it was. I was spending a lot of money at school on
Yeah.
music, which kind of,
But I don't know. I
was a bit
feel it's a good
weird.
thing. Well, I suppose you brought it up, and I kind of just forgotten about it. But I suppose the revival of vinyl is like the definitive way to own a
Exactly.
song is like quite
Exactly.
helpful from that perspective. But obviously, a
Exactly.
lot of places can't put out vinyl.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's not like the solution that solves everything, but I do think generally streaming is a better thing. I mean, you're people are more likely to stream than to pirate nowadays.
Yeah, definitely.
Whereas
I don't think
I
you.
definitely, I mean, I don't think I ever did the whole like LimeWire downloading MP4 things, but I definitely pirated or on the verge of pirated music a lot more back when there was kind of like that.
I never pirated music. I was a very good boy. I only
I don't know if I
pirated
pirated
other
it, but
media.
I mean, I definitely listened to it on YouTube on not the correct channels, and I probably did
Hmm.
pirate. I can't really remember to be honest. I mean, I did. I bought most of it on iTunes, but it's just a
Yeah.
lot easier now to listen to whatever. And then if you
Hmm.
really like it, you can get it on vinyl or anything. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's my
I
thoughts
also
on the
just
matter.
I've grown to really hate touchscreens as time goes on.
Oh yeah,
I dislike their presence in my life. I liked that the original iPod has like buttons that are good.
yeah, they
I
were
just miss
pretty
it. It looks
good.
nice.
They were
Yeah.
pretty good. They were kind of like touchscreens though, the spinny things.
I guess, but there's just something. It's tactile's the word. I like tactile stuff. Right,
Yeah,
even
okay.
as I'm speaking right now, I'm running my thumb through a comb, which is probably being picked up by the audio, so I should stop.
Oh, I mean,
But
I fiddle with stuff all the time, and in it's I think it's probably in the podcast that you can hear me.
yeah, it's just nice,
Yeah,
I think I'm a really big fan of owning things physically. Like I try to never buy stuff digitally if I can avoid it. And like I know a lot of people do that from like a consumer rights thing,
yeah.
like so they can be like oh because they might delete it one day and then who
It
knows what will
is
happen.
true. I've got loads of DVDs, and um, I just feel like, I mean, if you have a Netflix subscription, sure you can watch all the films, but if your favorite film gets taken off Netflix, that's kind of you have to
Well,
buy
like what I'm
something
saying is
else
like
or wait for it
it's
to
not
come
even
back.
like that for me. It's just like I like owning things. It's just nice to have them on
No,
my shelf and think that's the thing I can hold.
I get that as well, but I mean, what you were saying about people talk about
Mhm.
stuff getting taken off, I think that is true as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's a valid argument. It's just not the main reason for
Just
me.
not
I
your
suppose
argument.
if someone was like, you have to like convince me in a debate logically that like physical media is still really important, then like that's probably what I'd lead with.
Yeah,
But just like for me personally, the real thing for me is I like holding my media and going, yes, this
yeah,
is a thing I have. 10,000 years, I'll still have it. Although I think DVDs degrade, but
probably. Yeah, like I've never read anything on a Kindle or a
yeah, I really
tablet or
bounced.
anything.
I
I
had a
always I
Kindle
like a book.
and I really like enjoyed it for a while, and then I got a Kindle Fire when my old Kindle broke for some reason,
Right.
and then like it
That
came back to
sounds
that touchscreen
suspicious.
thing, and I got comes back to the touchscreen thing. I didn't like using the Kindle Fire nearly as much. I just went straight back to having books in a sort of circle.
Yeah.
I think I quite like to have a Kindle though. I don't know if they still make them.
Yeah,
Hopefully,
I guess it's kind of yeah, kind of nice. What happened to your old Kindle? You said in a very suspicious way that you didn't know what happened
so
to it.
like weirdly, maybe
So
like
I
it was 6
downloaded
months.
this
No,
pornographic book off the internet, and
there was 6 months or so where for some reason the top half of the screen had a bunch of black bars on it, and like I
right,
couldn't get rid of them no matter what it was, like black horizontal bars. But it was
yeah,
fine because like you could still read the book. It was just a little more difficult, but
yeah,
you live. And then one day it just froze entirely, and nothing I could do could get it to restart. So it's still in my room. It still shows the exact same page that it froze on. It's mothers. It's chapter 14, Mothers and Children of Miranda Hart's autobiography.
oh,
Um, and yeah, it just will not work anymore.
do you want to read it out to us?
Well, I'm not recording in my room, so that would be a
Oh,
real pain.
okay, no, fair enough. Would you like some more historical context, Jamie,
Yes,
Jimmy
why
and
not?
Bob, Jimmy Man? Can you guess what else was in the top 10 in the US?
Um,
So
I
War
mean, I
was
told
number
you my
one.
Number one was War. What is it good for?
Yeah.
Number two, not much.
I can't remember. There was one other song that I knew.
Oh wait, that wasn't rhetorical. That was just too like.
What?
That wasn't a rhetorical question. You were just asking me.
I was asking if you could guess what the other one was, yeah.
Okay, no is the answer.
Ain't No Mountain High Enough by Diana Ross.
That's another Guardians of the Galaxy soundtrack
Not,
classic.
not the Diana Ross version, Jimmy.
Oh, is it? Isn't it?
No, Marvin Gaye's version is the
Ah.
one. Marvin Gaye and Tatiana Tatelli, Tammy Terrell. Marvin Gaye and Tammy Terrell. Their version is the one that's on Mount. It's the most famous one, and it's the one that's on Guardians of the Galaxy. I think I prefer their one. The Diana Ross one's very like gospel-y, and it's got spoken word bit in it and stuff. It's quite good as well, but it's a bit different.
I find it No Mountain High Enough a bit cheesy. The Martin Gaye version is a little too much for me. Maybe I'd like Diana Ross's more.
Maybe you should check it out. Yeah. Okay, and UK. The UK one was. Oh, I can't remember what was on it last week, but it was much the same. But
Back Home by the England World Cup squad
was not in it, surprisingly. But Jamie, there was a song called "Tears of a Clown" by Smokey Robinson.
I think I've heard that before.
I listened to it earlier. Cool it was all right. But that's relevant because we're watching iClowns this week.
Yes, or E-Clowns. I think it would have to be.
Okay, and then Life magazine was all about porn this week, which I found interesting.
Cool. What perspective? Was it corrupting the nation's youth, or was it life? It's good.
It was about the growing industry. I didn't read their opinions on it, but I think it was just. I think it might have been that there were opinion pieces from both sides or whatever, but yeah, there seemed to be a few articles about that, and the cover story was all about that. So that was interesting. Yeah. Shall we talk about Fellini and E-Clowns?
Yes. So Federico Fellini is an Italian director who is quite famous. He is. I had not watched any of his films before. Duncan, you had.
I have watched 8.5, and last night I watched La Dolce Vita.
Those are like two different periods of his career, right?
Not really. They are 8.5 came out in 1960, I think. Oh, sorry. Yeah. La Dolce Vita came out in 1960, and 8.5 came out in 1963. Okay. So they're not really different from The Clown, if that's what you meant.
Okay.
But not different particularly.
Well, I know, like, from reading exactly one Roger Ebert article, that like Federico Fellini had like a period where he was more grounded in realism, and then like as his career went on, he became more and more abstract. I thought La Dolce Vita was more realistic.
Yes, it is definitely. There's a lot of moments in it that are definitely not. But yeah, 8.5 is very much not based in reality, or it is entirely based in reality. But there's a lot of dream sequences and. Is this a dream? Is this not a dream? Is this real? Is this not real? What's he thinking? What's she doing? Etc. There's a lot of that in it. So, I think that's true. That's true.
Cool.
And both of the films have clowns in them.
Yeah.
Which
man likes clowns.
The man likes clowns a lot. Hence why. Or does he?
Such is the question that this particular film will endeavour to answer.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll try and do. I'm not going to do a full plot summary because E-Clowns doesn't really have a plot, but just to give a brief recap so we can center our discussion. E-Clowns starts off in Fellini's childhood in Italy, which is rapidly becoming a fascist state.
Yeah.
So we see Fellini being taken to the circus as a youth, and it's a very classic circus fair. There's a lot of fun and games, but sort of that hidden darkness that so many all circuses really have. So you see the animals, and they're quite ferocious and starving. There's a lot of like dwarfs around, and they all kind of. It seems a bit exploitative. There's got the freaks, which is what all the people are here to see.
There's a lot of freaks. Yeah. Everyone's a freak, you could say.
You could say that.
That's a little reference to episode
5,
Uh,
I'm going to say.
8, 6.
Great.
Yeah,
So we see like the main circus, and it's sort of what you'd expect. There's like acrobatics.
yeah,
There's a lion tamer. There's a bearded lady called Mathilde, and she's the ultimate fighter. And then the ringmaster does like, 10 coins to anyone who like volunteers to fight Mathilde. And it's
yeah,
like, oh, you, ma'am, from the audience. And like a woman comes out. It's like, oh, I don't know if you should fight, ma'am. Then she
yeah.
takes off her coat, and it turns out she's Miss Tarzan.
That's
She's
right.
wearing a leopard skin underneath, and they fight. So it's all very, artificial, but everyone's having fun.
Yeah,
Everybody's laughing, but it's a bit gruesome as well. Like I say, there's the animal exploitation. There's a
yeah,
bit where the ringmaster says, like, oh, I have these two conjoined twins, although of course he uses the old word, in a jar, and it's like these two fetuses, and then he hands them round to the audience, and he puts it right in Fellini's face, young
yeah,
Fellini's face. It's like, what do you think of this, lad? So, that's the atmosphere. It's very raucous.
yeah,
But then we get to the clowns, the main attraction of the event. And there's like 10 or so at once. And it's very cacophonous. They all do their slapstick thing.
they do.
I think the gag the film focuses on is one with like a hammer, and like the clown's about to like keep whacking the other clown on the head, but the hammer keeps like getting stolen from him by someone else.
Was right at the end of the film, or towards the end of the film, wasn't it?
No, it's the very beginning. There might be other reflected by that. I'm definitely thinking.
I thought that was partway through, and then it's repeated at the end. I don't remember it in this bit, but it could have been.
Alright,
There's a lot of clown sequences in the film.
Yeah. So the way the clown scene, at least initially, is shot is quite aggressive in its own way. It's laughter. Like clearly,
Yeah.
the audience are having fun. But we hear from Fellini that he didn't find the clowns funny. He found them terrifying. He had to leave the circus in shame because he cried, much like I did during Finding Nemo when I was free. A very relatable experience for anyone.
I had to leave the Jungle Book 2 because I started crying when I was 2 or 3.
Damn.
My mum had to take
That's
me
a
out.
very deep cut.
Yeah, well, it was when the tiger came on screen and roars, and I started crying.
I like your assumption that I would have seen The Jungle Book 2, Duncan.
I'm not assuming you've seen it, but I'm assuming you're aware that the tiger's in it, and having seen Jungle Book 1, I assume you know
Yes.
that the tiger will at some point come out and roar.
Perhaps.
That's kind of the assumption I was going for. I'm not necessarily thinking you're going to be like, oh yeah, that
spoiling
scene,
it for me.
that scene, of course.
Yeah, I remember because for a bit of fun trivia, The Jungle Book 2, and I believe Peter Pan 2, which I think is called like Return to Neverland or something, were the only two Disney sequels to get like a cinema release, other than The Rescuers Down Under, which doesn't really count. And I saw Peter Pan 2 at After School Club, I remember. And even as a kid, I thought it was very weird. But,
Which one was that? Sorry.
Peter Pan 2 is the one that's set during World War II, and it like stars Wendy's children, and they go off to Peter Pan.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
Or, like Captain Hook comes back, and he's getting his revenge on the scallywag.
Yes.
Yeah.
I-
wholesome fun.
Yeah, I don't really remember much about it, but I do remember having seen Peter Pan 2 at some point in my life. Okay,
yes.
so yeah, we see the flashback of him, and then he starts crying.
Yes, and Fellini explains in voiceover that the reason he found the clowns so terrifying was because they reminded him of the members of his community, of any small community.
That's right.
But he lists off his specific examples. So he says there's a dirty old man who harasses all the women, but they all like kind of find him funny and harmless.
Yeah.
So he reminds him of that. There's a dwarf who hangs around town. I can't remember, what was his job.
Well, I don't remember there being a dwarf hanging around town.
All right.
There's a man that gets picked up in a wheelbarrow from the pub.
Yes, I was about to say there's a man who gets picked up by a wheelbarrow pub. There's a World War I veteran who sits in his chair silently, but also his, I think, daughter who has memorized every Mussolini speech off by heart.
Yeah, that's right.
There's an old man who is mostly harmless, but every time he has a little stutter and he keeps score when they all play billiards.
Yeah.
But every time he sees a war movie, he has these very intense flashbacks and becomes convinced he's back in the trenches.
Yeah.
So he'll wander around the town square on his belly doing a commando crawl and putting flags up and like.
And everyone makes fun of him,
Everyone makes fun of him. They
which
like
is actually a very sad scene.
it is very sad.
Yeah.
But
There-
they take pies and they throw them at him and they say they're grenades and they like do a rat tat tat thing with their gun.
yeah.
It's very sad. But on the other hand, it's
It also doesn't seem
got
to
a certain
phase him
life.
though, to be fair.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I see it's supposed to be sad, but I do feel it's also meant to like impart a sense of community of the town. So let's say the most interesting scene I think during the flashback of the town is the one with the kids at the station.
yeah,
Where like there's a station master and all the kids there like stick their tongues out of him as soon as the train's gonna go away.
mm-hmm.
And he says like, "I'm going to report you to the police. Like I know who your parents are, Sonny Jim." And he rants and raves and everybody has a fun old time about it.
yeah,
But then there's a bit where it's like, but then later, the fascists have come to town and none of the children can laugh or smile anymore. But the station master is very happy with himself.
because he is
It's very
essentially
sad.
a fascist
Yeah.
in his own way.
There's a sort of death of the life of the town, which I suppose is supposed to be a thematic reflection because this film is about the death of clowning as an art form,
Yeah,
as a reflection of death itself, one could say. But
yeah. It's got a very interesting subtext or subplot,
yeah,
where it compares the art of clowning to life.
exactly.
It's very interesting. Seeing,
It is.
we'll talk about it later, obviously, but seeing such a great filmmaker make essentially a documentary film, but put in it all these deep themes and meanings is it's a very interesting thing to see.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, we get Federico Fellini's complex feelings on his childhood
yeah.
in town.
So that's the backstory. That's kind of
yeah.
fuck. What's the word for it?
Setup, prologue.
Prologue. That's the one. Yeah, that's kind of the
Yeah.
prologue, and then we're introduced to the film crew,
Yes.
and it turns out this whole film is a film within a film.
Mhm.
But they're all playing themselves. So Fellini plays himself in the film.
Yes.
And then he has a fake film crew, but all the people that are playing the crew have the same names as the actual crew. So I don't know.
Which is it's very accommodating of them because they're all like, other than Fellini, they're all like comedy stereotypes. Like I know his script supervisor, like she has to be like a complete ditz is like her role.
Yeah.
So like she accidentally tears up her script once and she can't, like she keeps messing up her line readings during
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
Which it's fun, but is also very sexist.
Yeah. It's interesting because the film is this weird mix of like documentary and mockumentary, and you see the film crew filming, but you also see the stuff that they have been filming as well, and it's all mixed
Yeah.
in, and there's no explanation for why
Mhm.
you can see why you know so much about the film crew or see so much about the film crew,
Yeah.
until the end, I guess, kind of.
You know what this film reminds me of?
What?
And I'm going to immediately lower the tone of this conversation just because I know it's going to be fairly high for the rest of it.
You always say
But
this.
there's an anime, which I know is your favorite start to any sentence, I say, called Otaku no Video, which is a documentary about the founding of Gainax, which is an anime studio.
Right.
But it's not actually about that at all. It consists of a series of interviews with fans, and they're all talking about how anime has ruined their life. Like there's one who says like he keeps spending money on figurines and now he's broke, and there's one who's like my girlfriend's left me, and one's like I have no friends now. But they're all played by members of Gainax, like the studio, like animators
Right.
and stuff. And it's sort of a self-referential thing. And then meanwhile, in the background, like there's an animated segments which talk about a very farcical version of what actually happened. So like whilst it is true that like Gainax was made by two people who met at university and then like they made a company, like it has wacky hijinks and stuff. So it's that sort of same shifting between sort of farcical reality, sort of a mockumentary, but getting at a very meaningful truth to the narrator. If you know what I mean.
Do we know if the people that are in the film crew are actual film people, if that makes sense, or are they all actors?
I know what you're saying, and the honest answer is I don't know.
I don't know either. I'm looking at the
usually when
cast
doing
now,
this-
and I can't really see because I mean it just says everyone as himself.
Yeah.
Because
Can you see
obviously,
what-
well, to jump to the end, they are sort of clowns as well,
Mm.
right? You kind of
Yeah.
see that at the end. So I'm wondering if it's just clowns or
Hmm.
circus performers that are playing the crew as well in order to at the end kind of become part of the thing. We'll talk about that
Yeah.
anyway. But it's interesting, very interesting.
Hmm. So the majority of the film is a series of interviews that Fellini's film crew does with ex-clowns. They go to Paris, where clowning evolved into an art form, but like the overwhelming consensus from everyone they speak to, from like these academics who only talk about clowning, to all the retired clowns themselves, is that clowning is dead as an art form.
Yeah,
It's had its time in the sun, and now it's gone.
yeah,
So everyone's either old, everyone's old or like forgetful, or they're just happy, sort of resting on their laurels. Like even like the academics who like spend like have a very passionate argument about clowning, say like clowning is dead now and it's
yeah.
good that that's the way things are. Uh, which is that
And
is the film,
of
as it were.
course, we know that clowns aren't dead because Steve-O is around.
Who?
Steve-O
Who's Steve-O?
from Jackass.
I've never watched Jackass.
You've never watched Jackass? Well,
Yeah.
that's going to be interesting, Jimmy, because I was going to compare this film to Jackass. Genuinely, not in a jokey way.
I compare films to things you haven't seen all the time. Go ahead.
Well, no, I'll do it at the end because it's really the end sequence that
Um,
made me think about it. But I'm amazed you've not
so
never. I'm amazed you've never seen Jackass.
I'm amazed you've never seen Lawrence of Arabia. I'm still gonna bring that up. Phil, let's go for two more.
Touche, touche.
Um, yeah. What else?
So yeah, well, you were saying most of the film follows these interviews, and along with the interviews, they're intercut with clown performances, which
Yes.
generally link in some way to the interview. I
Yeah.
think my absolute favorite one is when I think it is clowns or maybe it's academics sitting around a table discussing if clowning is dead, and that
Mm.
whole scene is intercut with like clowns on stage arguing,
Oh
and
yeah.
I just loved the way it was like juxtaposed between the like serious academic discussion and then people like spraying each other and hitting each other in the head. It was I think it really got to the heart of what he's trying to say about what clowns represent and that kind of thing. You
Mm.
know?
That is interesting.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. I think I didn't pick that up. I feel really ashamed because it's very obvious.
Yeah.
Uh,
No, fair enough. I mean, I'm sure there were
yeah.
other. I'm sure all the clown performances that were chosen had deep meanings
Oh
and
yeah.
reasons for being picked. But that one in particular stood out to me because I didn't notice initially. I found it a
Mm.
bit weird that it was kind of intercut rather than having like an interview then a clown bit, and then I kind of realized that they were being compared. Although it might have been that it was clowns arguing and it was them then in costume they were arguing again. I'm not 100% sure.
Mm.
Because you can't really tell if it's the same person. But yeah, it was
Yeah.
interesting.
Um, yeah. Any of the interviews particularly stand out to you? I think my favorite was the ringmaster who's just gone completely senile, which I know is like cheap, but it's very sad.
I think that's the one I
Effectively.
was going to talk about. It's really is that the one that doesn't want to see them because they're Italian?
That's a different one, but
Right.
the man doesn't want to see them because they're Italian. It's very bizarre in a very sort of profound, not
Oh,
profound, but
you've just got text, mate.
emphatic way. Oh no.
I heard that very loudly.
Okay, you can have fun editing that out.
I'm not going to edit that, eh? But
All right, have fun with that, listeners. Uh,
because you're in the middle of speaking, I'll just leave it in. Yeah, there were
okay.
there were quite a few interviews with old people. They were very sad.
Yeah.
Especially when they
I
kind
mean,
of
that's the
agreed that
point.
clowning's dead.
Yeah.
Obviously that's the
But
point. Yeah.
the man, yeah. So there's like one guy, and like the filter all come round, and then his wife is like, "We don't. Sorry, he can't see you. Seeing Italians just makes him too sad because he misses his homeland too much."
Yeah, which is very
Which is
emotional.
It's very emotional, but also incredibly bizarre because he can only live a maximum of like 3 hours drive from Italy.
Is that right? Is that how far France is from Italy?
Well, that's probably an exaggeration, I guess, unless he's living in the very
Yeah, I mean he could be
south.
from
But
he could be from Palermo, mate.
but
In
even if
which case,
even if he's from fucking Leon, it's not a long journey to go to Italy. He's not exiled for life. He can go back.
yeah, I mean I
And
don't
yeah,
know.
his entire interview is about how much he misses Italy.
Yeah,
Every day of his life. They ask him what he does with his day, and he says, "I feed my parrot."
yeah, it's very
And that's
very
it.
sad, very sad.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Most of the film takes place in France, which is
Mm.
described as the birthplace of circus and clowning, which I had to be honest, I was not really aware of.
I'm almost certain Italy is because you have the Commedia dell'arte in Italy, right? So wouldn't
Well,
that
there's
be it?
Cirque du Soleil and all that stuff.
I suppose.
The origin of the modern circus is attributed to an English person, apparently.
Ah.
Um,
Actually, they did mention that in the film, didn't they?
yeah, but I guess I mean,
Anglais.
there's where it was, where it was developed or whatever, compared to where it was came from. Um, anyway, or is it that France is the birthplace of clowning specifically?
I think that's what they're trying to say because obviously, like the weird thing about clowns is that they really have nothing to do with the rest of the circus. If you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Like everything other than the circus is like other than clowns in the circus, like oh look at this amazing thing. Like we have these exotic animals or these
yeah.
acrobats.
But
Like aren't they
then,
incredible? And then
I
you just
mean,
got also you can watch these guys fall over.
yeah, but clowns are pretty amazing in their own way.
Well, yeah, I
The
mean they're definitely
amount,
synonymous with it. I'm just saying like if if the concept of a circus is like see these merry sights, ladies and gentlemen, if you're
yeah,
wheeling around your troupe to like I don't know a Georgian town where no one's seen an elephant before, and you're also going to show them like a man who can juggle 6 knives at once, then like that's a coherent idea. But if you're also like, but also I want a man in a funny red nose, then that becomes a weird tangent.
yeah, that's true. I feel like it just gives it's like the entertainment, the comic relief, and it's kind
Yeah,
of the thing that runs through the circus and links it all. I mean, I actually wrote down that the clowns were kind of. I felt like they were almost ruining the opening sequence because as soon as something ended, the audience didn't have any time to savor it because there would just be some clowns who'd run on and like do
hell yeah.
something stupid. Although then when they were setting up the cage and stuff, it kind of filled in the
Actually,
time. I feel
you
like
know
that's
that
what
the
it's about. It's about filling in, not filling in the time as in just like wasting people's time, but it's something that you can do, something that an individual can do or a group of people can do that is entertaining and fills in
yeah,
a
that's true
period
actually.
when, because if you have an elephant come on and then the next thing is a lion tamer, you've got to set up the cage, you got to
Yeah, I think you're
sort stuff
absolutely
out through
right.
the back, and I think the clown is an amazing art form in itself, but I feel like it kind of fills in that space, that empty space in the
Yeah.
circus.
Have you ever seen that Bill Murray tweet where he's like, at the Olympics they should have a regular guy running alongside all the athletes so like we can see how impressive it is.
No, but that does actually sound like a cool idea.
I was wondering maybe it's something like maybe it sort of works like that where like the clown's good for contrast. Like if you have an acrobat who can like do a human pyramid with like 5 people, but now you also have
Yeah,
like a clown who's just falling into his own face, then
because then the climb
get
would
a bit
try
of
and do it
concept.
and fall over, and you're kind of like, ha ha
Yeah,
ha ha ha. I don't know. I mean, I'm
seems
I'm
more
I'm amazed you
impressive.
don't know who Steve-O is, because he has a lot to
Yeah.
say about clowning. I would say the most I know about clowns is because he trained as a clown, um,
Ah,
and he a lot of that is in Jackass.
hmm.
Man, you need to watch
Makes sense.
Jackass. I know it's
I'll,
like the lowest form of entertainment, but it is actually very good.
I think they're making another one for some reason.
Are they? Well, that's good.
Yeah, I think I heard that.
Um. Anyway, they interview a bunch of clowns, a bunch of old clowns, dying clowns, dead clowns. They don't interview any dead
Rich
clowns.
clowns as well.
Rich
Only
clowns.
two. Charlie Rivel and Glock are the only two clowns to become rich.
Do you know who else is
Um,
in this?
who else?
Victoria Chaplin,
Who?
Charlie Chaplin's daughter.
Oh yeah, sorry,
Yeah,
that's right. She does say yeah.
yeah. I think
Um,
this was her like main thing that she ever
what?
did.
Oh right, this was like the only project she did.
Well, I think she's a circus performer, but it's not like
Ah,
it's not like she's a film star like her dad. So I think this is kind of
yeah.
the thing that she's in. She's 69 years old. I'm looking her up her now. Looking up her now. Looking her up now. Um, yeah, I'm looking at her Wikipedia, and there's not much. She was an extra in her dad's last film, which is on the BFI player actually. Um,
Mhm.
and she was meant to be in his next film, but then I guess he passed away. Um,
Oh,
but yeah, she was in the clowns and she was in the circus.
she
Talking
seemed
about the
very
BFI
nice.
player, this film is available on the BFI player.
Yes, don't
Um,
use it on mobile. It sucks. It's terrible. I was barely able to watch it.
fair enough. However, I was looking at the BFI player, and there's a lot of really good films on that. There's also free ones which I've not even looked through, but
Oh yeah, I looked through the free stuff. They're all. I'm just gonna sound dismissive. They're mostly stuff like that's in public domain, so it's usually like short
yeah,
films from the very early 1900s.
no, that makes
Uh,
sense. But I looking through.
that one with the moon, where the moon goes in the guy's rocket. I forgot the rocket goes in the moon's face. I've forgotten it. The French one. First use of a. I
Fucking
was gonna
what's it
say
called?
green screen. It would be black screen.
Um, Man, that's an awesome film. What's
That's
it
on it.
called? I can't remember what it's called. It's like the first film, the first big film. Um, it's really cool. Is it like
Yeah,
Man on the Moon?
I'm sure it's called something like that in French.
Men to the Moon.
Something de la lune.
Um,
Homme de la lune.
Fuck, I can't remember what it's called. It's a very good film though. There's all that kind of stuff on it. Looking through Seven Samurai is on it.
Oh
I've just
wow.
seen
Very
on
good
the
film.
subscription, not for free.
Yeah.
Bait is that you've watched Bait, haven't you?
Oh yeah, I love Bait.
Well, that's on it. Ghost in the
Watched it.
Shell is on it as well. I've added that to my
Uh,
list.
the animated one or
The animated
got...
one, yeah.
Ah, great.
Yeah. So I've added a lot of these to my list. I might keep
Oh.
this actually after my trial's up for a bit.
Ah, cool.
Probably not though. But I've already added 8 films to my list, including Napoleon, which is like 5 hours long or something, I think.
Blah.
So yeah.
I know. I say that after we watched like a 3-hour long film last week, and I've been making fun of you for not watching a 4-hour long film. But,
What was the 4 hour? Oh, The Lawrence of Arabia.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, they've got basically. I was looking through it, and it is about 50% films I've watched as part of my course, my film course, and the rest are ones that I could definitely see on the film course. But
Yeah.
it's good to watch those, and interesting. So
Yeah.
yeah. Have you watched
For the
anything
quite.
on? Have you watched anything on Mubi, by the way?
Yes, I did watch. I watched a bit of The Seventh Seal, and then I got distracted.
Oh, the Seven
And then
Seals on BFI Player as well.
well, there you go. That's
There you
that
go.
sorted.
Um,
And then I think I watched something else. I can't remember what it was.
Right. No, it's
But,
the
yeah.
stuff on Mubi is quite good. I've added some more stuff, but I would say the BFI Player seems to be these kind of obscure films that you must watch, whereas Mubi is really just obscure films that
Movies
are
like
obscure.
when you go to like one of those like sort of hipstery restaurants where like they pick the menu for you,
Yeah.
and like you get the one thing,
Exactly.
which is nice in itself because it's giving you a healthy diet. I think it's the exact phrase they use.
8.5
But,
Jamie is on BFI Player.
Oh, of course. Well,
Are
that's
you-
when I watched it.
Oh, Metropolis is on it as well. I should add that to my watch list. Yeah, so I'm looking through this, and there's a lot of interesting stuff on it.
Mhm.
Okay, let's finish the plot summary, and then I'll ask you what I was about to ask you, because I think we're basically through.
Yeah, so like I say, interviews with clowns. General impression, this dying art form. There's one who says clowns haven't disappeared. It's just that people don't know how to laugh anymore.
Yeah,
which is very deep.
very deep.
And then we get to the final performance, which I guess I'll leave you to describe because you seem to have gotten a lot more out of it than I did.
Well, it's a
and
funeral. It's a funeral basically.
Mm.
And up until this point, you've had the interviews where you see the film crew a little bit, and they kind of do a few little bits like you were saying earlier, where she doesn't get the script right or whatever, and you think, oh, that's kind of funny. And they're kind of in the background of some bits, and then there's the interviews where you don't really see them, and then there's the clown performances where really you're primarily just watching the performances. There's no really background stuff, and then everything is brought together in this big final grand thing, and it's almost revealed. It's revealed that the film crew is part of the clown troupe, the clown heritage, because they start fucking things up and like falling over and stuff explodes. And then there's this amazing bit where Fellini's getting interviewed and the interviewer says, what is the point of this film? What's the message of this film? And before Fellini gets a chance to answer, a bucket comes flying in from off screen and lands on his head. And then a bucket comes in and lands on the interviewer's head. And it's this big amalgamation of everything the film stood for, like the worlds all coming together. And of course, the whole final sequence is a funeral for a clown, but I mean, you could see it as a funeral for clowning as a whole. And it's a pretty amazing sequence, I thought.
Yeah.
And there's there's an old clown that starts feeling unwell and he has to sit out the performance, and you see him sitting
Oh
watching
yeah.
it and getting very emotional and thinking it's really good. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, and what I was saying earlier, it reminds me of Jackass because the Jackass films. So obviously you're aware of Jackass, yeah.
Roughly, yes.
So the TV show is just like guys doing stupid things, and they
Mm.
say, "Hello, welcome to Jackass. I'm Johnny Knoxville, and today I'm gonna fucking go down
Yeah.
this hill in a shopping trolley." And then they do that, and that's it. But the
Mm.
films have obviously a far bigger budget, so a lot of the film is the same thing. Hi, I'm Johnny Knoxville. I'm gonna staple my dick to a table or whatever. But the intro and outro of the films are these big, grand set pieces where you have stuff falling over and people running around and all these stunts being done and fire and fireworks and explosions and people falling over and saying things and doing things. And that was really that I really felt like this film had the same vibe here at the end, where
So
everything's brought together in this big performance, and it's got so much energy and stuff.
yeah.
So I realize I probably brought the bar right down by comparing Fellini to Jackass,
You
but it really reminded me of it.
no.
Um,
Like I might as well just. I kind of bounced off this film. I think quite a bit. Um, but I didn't think the last sequence really landed for me at all. This might be just because I was watching it on my fucking telephone,
as
as
David
David
Lynch
Lynch
would
would
say.
say, with a disapproving stare.
To be honest
Uh,
with you, Jamie,
yeah.
I think you need to get real,
Hmm.
because never in a billion years could you see a phone on your fucking telephone, a film on
I
your
never
fucking
could.
telephone.
I haven't seen Federico Fellini's E Clowns.
No.
I know that's true.
Um,
I think I have,
you
but
you
I
you
haven't.
might you might think you've seen Federico Fellini's Eye Clowns, but never in a trillion years will you have seen it on your fucking telephone. Get real. That's my
So
Lynch impression. Do you
yeah.
like it?
So I think it shone in moments. Uh,
Much like
so
Federico Fellini's Eye Clown.
yeah, so I would say the big grand finale itself didn't land for me, but what I really liked was the bit at the end where the old clown just has a little chat with Fellini about
Yeah,
all
the
this stuff.
music stops. Music
It's
cuts
completely
off.
quiet. Everyone else has left.
Everyone's left. Yeah,
The clown talks to Fellini. I've actually forgotten what he said, but
same.
it seemed meaningful at the
It
time.
is very poignant at the time.
And then he plays his trumpet, and it's quite sad, but also very melancholic's the better word. It's
Yeah,
very intimate as
it
well.
is. Yeah, I loved that because it showed the. I mean, it basically the ending of the film is the whole film, where you've got the big performances followed immediately by an intimate moment of real like human feeling and
Mm.
emotion. Yeah.
Yeah,
So I liked it a lot.
yeah. My general issue with this film, to talk about it more broadly, is that I never really found the clowns as interesting as Federico did. He didn't really win me over to his side,
Yeah.
and that's partly on me.
Well, the thing
But it
with
did mean I
Fellini,
started to find it very boring.
the thing with Fellini is he's a very personal filmmaker.
Yes, I
He
really
he
liked it.
he's been quoted as saying that I think at some point early in his career he realized that the only person he could make films for was himself. Or
Yeah,
actually, maybe it was while he was making 8.5 that he kind of said that.
yeah. It's a
And
very,
you can
very,
really see that.
very self-indulgent film. I
Yeah.
don't think there's anything. I don't necessarily hate that, but it did start to wear on me after a bit.
Yeah, no, I definitely get that. I agree. I think the end sequence really won me over, but as a whole, I would agree with you that there were points in the film where I was kind of like, right, I get it. You know, you're talking to these
Yeah,
old clowns. Some of the clown performances were really good. Others, I was kind of like, yeah, right, it's a clown. Like, yeah,
yeah.
I think there's only so much clown you can take.
I feel really bad because it's very well made,
It's
and it's
it's
very
brilliantly made.
it's deeply personal.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's sort of like looking at a stranger's baby pictures or whatever.
Right.
It's got you need to be there in the same emotional place. I find the idea of like a death to the art form is like very interesting in and of itself.
Yeah.
So I would say the film isn't really about that, as it were. It's really more about the emotional space that it's caused, as it were, rather than like I suspect if there was like a really hard nosed BBC4 like documentary on like here's why clowns became less popular, and then like a little hook at the end where it's like, but don't they have their place today? Then I'd find that very interesting. But Fujiko is really more about like, there's no clowns anymore. This is how I feel about it. This is how it makes me feel about myself and about my youth. Which again is very artistically valuable, very artistically valid.
Definitely.
When you go to like an art gallery and like you look at a painting and like you don't get it, but you feel kind of ashamed, so you kind of just sort of stand looking at it for a bit longer than you would, and you can't really walk away. That's this film to me. Yes.
Right. Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. I would recommend you watch the Dolce Vita.
Yeah, I was about to say I do. The film did sort of for the opposite reasons actually as for the honeymoon. Make me think I should probably watch some of this director's other work.
Yeah.
Because I think I was very interested in what he does, and I usually like very personal stuff.
Yeah.
Stuff that's really just like the creator yelling about themselves. I don't quite know why this one truly didn't hit for me, but I think maybe if it was something I related to more personally, I suppose, because obviously, as a young man, death doesn't fascinate me in quite the same way as I'm sure it does to people who are 30 years older than me.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe if I watched 8.5 or something.
Yeah, maybe you should watch 8.5. I was going to say if you don't like the personal stuff, then the Dolce Vita is just a great film. But in terms of personal stuff, 8.5 is also very personal. But it's more about his relationship with a woman and the creative process. So
yeah,
if you'd find that interesting, then yeah, 8.5 is very good.
I would.
The Dolce Vita is just really, really good. So the 8.5 and the Dolce Vita, I find very hard not to compare because they both have the same main actor in them. They're both Fellini films. They're from the same period, and they're both quite long. And for me, the Dolce Vita held me for 3 hours, whereas 8.5 did not hold me for 2.5 hours. And that might have been because I was doing it for my course rather than anything else. But I prefer the Dolce Vita.
Yeah. I mean, anything you have to do for work, you're going to enjoy less.
Exactly.
So,
I guess I was kind of watching Dolce Vita for this, but not really because we're not directly discussing that.
We can't really talk about it,
because you've not seen it.
Sorry.
But it's good. But importantly, both the Dolce Vita and 8.5 have clowns in them. So,
yes, it's a motif he's very interested in, clearly.
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah. I'm glad he got to explore it.
Yeah.
What I will say is that I'm very surprised that a TV station commissioned this for a Christmas Day special, because this isn't really a film I'd imagine gathering around the whole family around the TV screen after Christmas dinner, and all watching together.
I assume it's because it's Fellini and they kind of...
Yeah,
he seems like the sort of guy that you just give money. It's like...
I guess it does seem like it's probably just like a blank check project, where it's like, you can do whatever you want as long as it's cheap.
If it was like David Lynch, like they would just give David Lynch money. Maybe that's a bad example because he's so... so it makes it weird. Christopher Nolan. If Christopher Nolan came to the BBC and was like, I want 500,000 to make a low-budget Christmas Day special, they'd be like, go for it.
That's true.
Probably. Maybe not. I don't know.
What
was the budget of the film? Do you know?
£5. I don't know.
Let me look it up. iClown's budget.
I'd be shocked if it was too high.
Killer Clowns from Outer Space had a budget of $1.8 million.
Good for Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
And Audi has enlisted a troop of clowns to convey a serious message about the car brand's technologies in a new multi-million-pound campaign.
Lovely.
However, I do not have anything about the. What was the other film? Man, where did I see that? Oh, there was an actor. I was looking up an actor. Just while I brought up Killer Clowns from Outer Space, I was looking up an actor that was in something, and he was also in a film called. What was it called? It was like Beaver something. Some Beavers.
Okay. That sounds
It's
like a film where they came up with the title first.
it came out in 2014. It's a horror comedy, and it just kind of reminded me that that was a genre that existed. Like
Horror comedy.
the 2010s Zombiever,
Oh,
Piranha, Free Double D, um,
yeah.
girls in bikinis getting eaten by things kind of genre was one
Mm,
I'd forgotten about.
that's true.
I think Piranha Free
Sort of.
Double D is the only one I've seen. I did not see it in Free Double D.
What's the point if you're not seeing those three double Ds?
I know. I saw many Double Ds, but not in 3D. Um, yeah, that whole type of film is one that
I
I'd
don't know.
forgotten about.
I
Uh,
just can't imagine going to the cinema to be horny. You know,
I know,
you walk up
but
to the
at home, I
counter
feel
and you
like
go.
it's more something you watch at home, isn't it?
Well, no, because it's free double D. You're not going to watch
Oh
that
well,
at home.
Free
You're
Double
going to have
D,
to go
that's
up.
true. But
You're gonna have to. You have
Zombievers,
to walk up to the counter. You have to talk to the receptionist. You have to say, "I want to go see Piranha Free
Piranha,
Double D, please."
and then she
And they go,
says
"Are
she
you?"
says, "Oh, you want to see Piranha 1?" And you're like, "No, no, no." And she's like, "Piranha 2?" And you're like, "No." And she's like, "Which one?" And you have to say Free Double D, please.
Yep. And then
Yeah,
she goes, "Are you very horny, sir?" And you have to go, "Yes, ma'am."
I know.
And then you walk off in shame. And then you go into a room, and the ticket collector's there, and he's like, "Sir, are you going to see the horny film?" And you have to go, "Yes,
Yes.
sir." And then you walk into a room with a bunch of other sad-looking men, and you all know you're here because you're horny, and you're not allowed to masturbate in theaters anymore. So
Unfortunately.
here you just are.
So, did you know that the first Piranha came out in 1978? The second one came out in
No.
1981, and then Piranha 3D came out in 2010, and Piranha 3 Double D came out in 2012.
I genuinely just thought Piranha 3D was the only Piranha film, and they
No, I
just
knew it
added
was
the
the third
3D.
one. It's actually, technically, it's the fifth one. There was Piranha, Piranha 2 The Spawning, Piranha, Piranha
The
3D,
Spawning.
and Piranha 3 Double D. Yeah,
The Spawning isn't a threatening subtitle.
Piranha 2 The Spawning. Directed by James Cameron in his feature directorial
What?
debut.
What?
James Cameron,
Holy shit!
who made Aliens and Terminator and
And Titanic.
Titanic, started off with Piranha 2 The Spawning.
Jesus fucking Christ.
That was his first. He was the special effects director, and then the original director left, and he had to do it.
Step up to the
And
plate
then
for the Spawn.
He was filming it in Rome, and while he was disillusioned from being there and suffering from a fever, he had a nightmare about an invincible robot hitman sent from the future to assassinate him, which inspired the Terminator.
It's nice to know that the Terminator is born from the desires of a man who
Piranha
really
2
didn't
The
want to have
Spawning.
to work on Piranha 2 The Spawning anymore.
Holy shit. Jamie, this is not something I was aware of.
Me neither.
Okay, well, I mean, what started out as an innocent conversation about zombievers has turned into a massive discovery about James Cameron's filmography.
Great.
Wow.
But yeah, I never saw either Piranha 3D or 3 Double D, and I'm going to be honest, I don't think I ever will.
I watched Piranha 3 Double D in a group of friends on a TV, and it was very awkward because it is a
How
very
old were
horny
you?
film. 15 probably, 14.
Yeah, that tracks.
The peak age for saying let's get the boys together and watch Piranha 3 Double D, I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess this genre is a subgenre of American Pie sort of films.
Yeah, I suppose. Except, like, because, like, American Pie is, like, it's very sexual, but it's for comedy's sake, you know?
Well, yeah, but
whereas-
these ones are allegedly
they
for
comedy?
comedy's sake.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the thing that made me say that is Zombievers is from the producers of American Pie Cabin Fever. And
Right.
The Ring. Is The Ring not also a very good horror film?
The original Japanese one is meant to be very good.
but
I don't know about the US
2002 one, I don't know how critically
remake, which
acclaimed.
was very popular. But
Yeah,
I don't know if that means it was good.
fair enough. Well, there you go, Zombievers. I don't know how we got into that, but... Oh, Killer Clowns from Outer Space. The
Yes.
budget of iClowns, we don't know. E-Clowns.
Yeah, that was a fruitless tangent.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. Tangent filled indeed. How many Italian films have we watched now? Is this the third one?
We watched Hatchet for the Honeymoon and this, right? What would
Il
also on?
Conformista.
Oh yeah, of course. So yeah, this is the first. I don't know why they've come up so often. Maybe
I
just
don't know.
because
Well, I mean, Italian cinema's a pretty big international
Yeah, but
cinema.
we've never watched a single film from France, for instance, for this.
France is the other one I would say we
Um,
need to watch.
we haven't watched anything Spanish, I don't think, which I
No,
know
but I
isn't
don't know how big the
massive.
Spanish film industry was at
Uh,
this time.
I think we're watching a Czech film next week as part of the as far as the Czech New Wave.
Tell me, what is it?
I've forgotten it. It's like it's you know, dark central retelling of Alice in
It
Wonderland.
better
I
not
think.
be Valerie and her Week of Fucking Wonders.
It absolutely is.
Jamie, I'm not watching that film. It's awful. Actually, I've already watched it. Fine, you can watch it and we can discuss it. But it made me want to fucking kill myself. My rating next week is going to be don't watch. I can tell you ahead of time. in fact, I might not even come on next week. I can just tell you right now what my rating's going to be and what I think of the film.
Too bad, Duncan. It's like the 10th most popular film from the year as a whole. So for completeness' sake.
Okay, well, Jimmy, fine. I'm telling you that I'm not watching it again. So my memory will be based on watching it several months ago. I'm sure I have the piece that I wrote about it, so I can use that. Fine. Okay. Next week's gonna be a short one, boys. Oh, the Czech New Wave. Fuck me.
As a tangent and a primer. Actually, no, I'll save it for next week to ask you about what Czech New Wave is.
Yeah, save it for the next week. Fine.
Yes, if we're talking about ratings, what would you rate this film?
I would rate this iClowns. I would rate it maybe by no.
Yeah.
Watch if it's on. No. Watch it.
Stream?
Seek it out, but don't pay
Seek
for
it
it.
out.
Pay for La Dolce Vita.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna downgrade it personally to a watch if it's on. I think.
Okay. I doubt it'll ever be on.
Yeah, it will never ever be on. So I guess it's effectively a don't watch, but I'm not being that mean.
Okay.
If you have a flatmate who's really into Italian cinema,
yeah. If you're interested in clowns or a Fellini completionist, then definitely watch it.
Well,
but I'm gonna keep it as no. I'm gonna change it to watch if it's on because I'm gonna say that you should seek out La Dolce Vita or 8.5.
Yeah, I suppose to justify my opinion, thematically, it's a very interesting, very personal reflection on the death of an era. But I would also say that is perhaps the world's most common theme for any film.
Yeah.
And if you want to see a film about the death of an era, you can watch almost any film ever made.
Do you know what, Jamie? I've changed my mind again. I'm gonna put it. Stream it. I'm doing it because it's unique. Because of its uniqueness.
Fair. I like that. That's a little. I suppose what I was saying was stupid. Because it is very unique. It's very personal. It deserves to exist.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna say stream it. It's cool.
But you know what? When you play the self-indulgent filmmaking roulette wheel, sometimes it's not going to land with the audience. That's the game you play.
And it's landed with me, and it's not landed with Jamie. So
yeah, that's the way it goes.
There you go.
Cool.
I don't know if I've got anything else particularly.
Yeah. No housekeeping.
I don't think we're on any new platforms at this point in time. I believe. Let me have a look here. I believe we're still on Spotify and Anchor. I don't think we're on that Happy Scribe thing yet. Maybe we won't be. Who knows? We probably will.
All right.
I don't know. But yeah.
I guess this is goodbye for now.
I guess.
And forever.
Do you know what you've not been up to anything interesting? I don't think I have particularly. I'm going to the cinema tomorrow without you.
Yeah, Duncan's going to kill himself.
Jamie doesn't want to come to the cinema because he's scared of the pandemic.
Scared of the deadly virus. I've been playing more of The Witcher 3. It's much like the rest of The Witcher 3. Isn't quite good. I just finished today reading the first collection of Witcher short stories.
Oh, cool.
Which are nice. I liked it a lot more than the TV show. I thought I'd figured the TV show was a loyal adaptation. It's not really. It makes a lot of changes in ways that I think rob the stories of a lot of their uniqueness
Right.
and sort of make Geralt a less interesting character.
Okay.
So I would recommend reading the books.
Cool.
As any book reader at any point in time always does. But I did read the books both after playing the video game and watching the TV show. So it's not like
I should watch the show.
I'm not being biased towards my first experience.
Yeah. Unlike many book people.
I've also been playing Fall Guys.
Have you actually?
Kids have. Yeah, I told you about this.
Was it free?
It's free on PSN. Nothing else.
Right. Nothing else.
But yeah, it's quite fun. It's quite repetitive. They're going to be adding a lot of new content, or so they say, fairly regularly.
Right.
And I hope that's the case because it's fun, but it's very similar every time. The team games are terrible.
Right.
I don't like them. The races are very fun, and I haven't won a game yet, and that makes me very sad. But that is.
Oh.
I checked my playtime. I played Enter the Gungeon, if you know that game, for 40 hours total. And I never once won. It's a roguelike.
Was that the free one on Epic?
It was free on Epic. It is free on Epic right now, actually. But that's just a coincidence. I bought. Right. I paid money for it.
Well, that was.
It's a very good game. If you want a roguelike, you should buy it. But I never won, and that made me sad.
I'm looking on Epic right now. I'm wondering if I should get the Tony Hawk remasters because.
Mm-hmm.
Last week I said that I didn't like the Tony Hawk games, but I had the only one I played is like the worst rated one, I think. So maybe I should get these remastered ones, full HD. But I really just think the flipstick system is better than the Tony Hawk button pressing system. But I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, there's probably room in your life for two.
Probably. It does look pretty cool. I think it's a lot less open world though, isn't it?
Tony Hawk is like you got a selection of like arenas, and they're all very large, and you do like tricks.
Oh well, if they're large, then maybe. It's really expensive though.
I don't know if Darth Maul is still going to be playable in the remasters. I don't know. But who's to say?
Spider-Man was in it as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, they had lots of kooky guest characters. Apparently, the soundtracks are all very good as well.
I'm sure they will be. Yeah.
Tony Hawk was very dedicated to making sure it had an authentic sound.
Authentic skate sound. Well, maybe I'll. It's pricey though, £40.
I mean, I think it's the sort of thing that, not to be rude to remasters, but usually in like a year they go on sale pretty cheap.
Yeah, I might wait.
They make most of their money from people who are nostalgic, and they do that very quickly.
Need it straight away. There's a game coming out, an anime, thingy game, anime football game.
Inazuma 11.
Let me look it up. I got a notification on my phone about games that are coming out. Captain Tsubasa.
Captain Tsubasa. Yeah. Oh, that, and I'm bringing it up only because it's relevant to the conversation, is a very popular anime in Italy.
Is it?
To the extent that I think the only reason it's getting new seasons is because of its Italian fandom.
Interesting. Well, there's a game coming out.
Yeah, I've never watched it. It's not like, not to be condescending, but it's a kiddies show. Right. So I haven't watched it.
So the game's probably a kiddies game.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it could be for people nostalgic for it.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it being a kiddies game.
If someone was like, we're making the game, Postman Pat mail delivery, and we've made it as complicated as Postman Pat's current day fans deserve, then I feel like, yeah, I'll take a look at that.
The reason I find it interesting is we've talked before about Mario Strikers Charge Football, or whatever it was called.
Yeah.
And this one talks about being a football game with like special moves and that kind of thing. Yeah. And I thought it might be interesting to play. It's available on PC and Xbox, I think. Certainly it's available on Switch and PlayStation. I think it's available on PC and Xbox as well. So I thought it could be a cool game to get, maybe. I'll look into it.
I won't recommend either way. But,
well, if you don't know, I was wondering, you might have heard of the series, or no? I think it's a game series. I think it's a game series. Maybe not.
But I don't have any opinions on Captain Tsubasa.
Okay.
But something else was coming out soon.
Surgeon Simulator 2 is coming
out. Moon is coming out this week. It might actually wait. I think it's already out. I should go buy it.
That's not Surgeon Simulator 2.
No, it's an anti-RPG from 1997. And it was originally released in Japan, and it never got an English release. But they translated it for the first time It's Tim Rogers from actionbutton.com who's doing the translation.
Right.
And it's got a lot of popularity because it is an influence on Undertale, which I'm sure you've heard of.
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Because it's like a game where like you come down and then like you see like the heroes like killing all the monsters and like stealing everyone's stuff, and you have to repair the damage the hero's done. And it sounds very cool, and everyone says it's very good. It's by the Do you know the game Tulip?
No.
Chulip.
No.
That's a game where you have to go around the town and kiss everyone.
Oh.
It's by the creator of that.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Surgeon Simulator 2 is coming out.
Yes. That sounds less artistically interesting.
I find it weird that I feel like it was a very popular game when it came out, and it's kind of been and gone. It seems weird to bring out a new one. Although apparently it's got co-op, which is kind of the thing that these sequels tend to put in.
Yeah, I suppose because like Surgeon Simulator was like very, very dependent on like streamer culture.
Yeah.
So I suppose if you have co-ops, then like you can, that there's going to be like PewDiePie featuring Markiplier.
Yeah.
We're doing Surgeon. I won't say we're doing Surgeon Simulator. It'll be like doing a heart operation co-op.
Yeah.
3 question marks, bloony eyes.
Yeah.
So yeah, like if you can show like something new for the viewing audience, then that you're gonna get that interest back. Whereas if you're just like Surgeon Simulator 2 is exactly the same as the old one, it's gonna die. Well, I guess that Five Nights at Freddy's basically did the same thing 5 times in a row.
It came out very quickly.
Yeah,
very, very quickly indeed. I'm looking at this football game. It's got national teams in it. It's got Germany, America, Italy, England, Uruguay, Netherlands, France, Argentina, Brazil, Japan. Okay, those make sense. Can you guess the one other team that it's got in it?
No.
Senegal.
Senegal?
Yeah.
Is that so wrong?
Well, it just seems a bit out of...
pretty active footballing culture.
True, but I mean...
The other explanation I will offer...
I'm trying to think if they're missing out any other... I guess they're not missing out any other big teams, are they?
I will say that a very likely explanation is that in the TV show or the comic, there will have been like a big arc about like Captain Tsubasa going up against the Senegal football team. And,
Probably,
they have a whole story thing, and like everyone has their favorite characters who were on the Senegal team.
You're probably right.
So you're putting it in the game.
You're probably right.
That would be my guess.
Yeah. I guess Senegal's kind of a big football nation.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think of the...
I not to sound very mean, but I've never heard of them being mentioned in other contexts.
No, but I don't think they've missed anyone else out, actually. Portugal. They've missed Portugal. I mean, Portugal's a huge football team.
Yeah.
And they're not here. Spain is not in the game. That was more my point. It wasn't so much that why have they got Senegal? It was more just like, it seems bizarre that there's Senegal over Portugal or Spain.
I suppose maybe they also want to have like a decent enough amount of people from each continent.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, an African team to...
Because if you're doing just like, the 20 biggest football teams in the world, then it's going to be almost entirely European.
Yeah. And I guess from a Japanese point of view, that like international...
And South American, I suppose, as well.
Yeah. Well, there are South American. I mean, there's Uruguay, Brazil.
I
guess
there are 2 continents that have a very large obsession with football.
Yeah. And we're looking at it from a very Eurocentric point of view, whereas maybe from a Japanese point of view, it's more interesting to have the range.
Yeah, well, I suppose like part of the appeal of these things is like being able to play as people from all around the world.
Yeah.
And if they're all like, I don't know how wide Europe is, 1,000 miles apart. Then
I don't know. How wide is Europe? Should I Google it?
Yeah, why not? I think the world is surprisingly small.
Europe. I've looked up how wide is Europe. It's not telling me.
Disgusting. It's clearly secret.
How wide is Europe in miles?
I think the distance from the UK to Canada...
1,339 miles from London to Kiev.
Yeah.
Wow. Although, I'm not sure. That doesn't look like the longest distance. Surely the bottom of Portugal to, like, the middle of Russia would be a lot longer.
That wouldn't be width, though. Oh, well...
I mean, but London's not even on the... I mean, Ireland's in Europe.
Yeah, that's true.
It looks like they've kind of picked. They picked two places
Mm.
that are roughly at the same latitude,
Yeah, I suppose it's the reason why.
but it still doesn't
what
make a lot of
point
sense.
in Russia does Europe stop? It's quite early on, isn't it?
The Ural Mountains, according to this children's photograph,
All right.
which is probably not the most accurate thing. Cool. I think that's us. I think let's call it. This episode's not coming out till Sunday. I'm recording it on Tuesday.
Yeah.
What if something big happens? Should we record our reactions in case something big happens this week?
Oh no, that was so horrible what happened this week.
I know, wasn't it great? I'm so glad
I'm
that
glad
thing
that
happened.
thing happened. Thank God.
I mean, that was awful that so many people were hurt or injured or dead.
You know what? Some people might be sad that many people died, but I think they deserved it.
Oh God, Jamie! If something happens, that quote's out there. Oh my God! If there's another explosion in where was that huge explosion? In
Lebanon,
the Mediterranean.
Somewhere. Right?
Lebanon. It was in Beirut.
Beirut. Sorry.
Yeah. If there's another explosion,
I'm very numb to the news. I don't pay attention to it.
Imagine
sorry.
if we'd recorded this that week, and it got to the end of the week, and I was talking about that, and there's that giant explosion. That was insane. That was a few weeks ago now, so people know we're not talking about that. Okay, well, bye everyone. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Bye.